recording. This is maybe, as this goes, the beginning of season 26. Howdy, y'all. Let's see, diving right in. So we're up to a new season, and I think we did this last season. We stepped into the next season, and we really didn't know what we were going to do for the season. So this may be a little more bonus material than you may want. Let's see. Do we have even anything on the docket of stuff, of ideas and such?
I did not see anything.
Oh,
And did you have something?
did I send you? Now I got to figure out where I put. I wonder if I sent you the one because I actually did in AI. I asked it if it recommend. Oops, that's in the wrong Slack place. It actually recommended a whole bunch of interesting. Oh, here we go. Wait, is this it? Nope, that's your. Wait. Okay, that's on the title. Hmm. I hate when I do this and I'm not sure where I put that.
See, I
Um,
make sure to tag the stuff I'm working on. Like anytime I do a podcast, I move it to the podcast group so I can find it.
well, this also was like, it was part of it was a, I think it's part of a discussion that I had. Here we go. Let's see. Here, is this it? Okay, here we go. Based on your past seasons, so we're going to do a season suggestion by AI potentially. Let's see what we can do with this. And then we're going to see what our first couple episodes will be. Sorry, I'm like moving some stuff around so I can actually see some windows here. Hmm. Let's see. Future proofing your developer career. Here's a 12 episode season outline. How to adapt, thrive, and leave a lasting mark in a rapidly changing tech world. Episode one, the only constant change in tech. Episode two, skills that never expire. AI is your coding partner, not your replacement. Navigating the cloud native world, the rise of low code and no code. Continuous learning without burnout. Building a resilient career network. Future proof architectures. Soft skills that matter the most in 2030. Thriving in remote and global teams. Developer to entrepreneur, and expanding your options. Your legacy as a developer. I'm thinking we've sort of done something like this. I'm thinking we do like a let's tackle the buzzwords season. And we can do like a couple of episodes even per like the first thing I'm thinking of right away, AI, because it is such a big thing. And because I actually just read an article today about like some of they just did a scan, they did a brain scan on people doing AI and found that basically people that use AI heavily actually are causing mental damage to themselves. They're having a hard time like, you know, uh, reviewing or remembering things like I can. They have a hard time speaking. They can't host podcasts. There's a lot of stuff like that that are these challenges. But it was, and I think it was a Harvard study. They said it did it. May have been the Journal of Medicine, but whoever it was like, when you're using AI, you're like your mental activity goes like zero, and some things like that. And that there's just like people are starting to see the ugly side of AI and all of the the challenges, and it's becoming more and more things. So I think that would be a really good one to talk about. I think it's always good. It's almost an evergreen topic for us to talk about the skills that never expire. That's not necessarily a buzzword, but I think that may be an area that we can touch on those. Definitely the cloud. Everybody's cloud this, cloud that, and all that kind of things. Low code and no code, I think, is something we really haven't talked about much. But I think it would be interesting to get into. Um, and we talked about our legacy a little bit in the last one, but I think we could probably find some good little buzz terms and stuff like that, make it a little more, I mean, I guess it's a little more contemporary, although obviously the AI stuff somewhat was as well. But I think we can do that. And that may be really good working with some of the speakers too. If we can sprinkle in some speakers that may give us some good topics there as well. So make it a little bit more of a like I don't know. We'll have to think of something that we want as like the actual thing, but it's just like, let's tackle the things, the elephant in the room, essentially. Let's tackle the things that everybody needs to know, that we know we need to know, and how do we work with these? Everybody knows they need soft skills. Okay, well, how do you build soft skills? Everybody knows that you need AI. Well, how do you use AI? Everybody knows that the cloud's out there. How do I use it? Everybody knows what an IDE is and version control and CI/CD and stuff like that. What does that do for me? Testing. Who the hell tests? Why would you do that? Documentation. Okay, great. What does that mean? We've covered a lot of those, but I think it wouldn't be bad to go back and review some of those. I know I've talked a lot, so your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of like how you just laid out that last little bit, like documentation, why would anyone document testing and things like that? We got to be careful though, because we've kind of, over the last 4 seasons, we've touched on a lot of these individually in different, kind of in similar themes, but just in different context. So if we do it this way, we need to make sure that we stick to like one, well, we may not have to, but we're gonna probably need to keep to like the focus that we want, like buzzwords, things like that, because we can go in the weeds too easily, I should say, on a lot of these, and it would kind of like, I guess, detract from our goals for the season. Like I want us to make sure that we can keep it concise enough that, yeah, we're talking about the buzzwords, we're talking about the important keys in that, but we keep it in context where anyone jumping into the season knows what we're talking about, knows what the season's about, not where, oh, this episode was on this, now they're kind of over here on this. Does that make sense? Like, how can we make this flow as a season versus just like a scattered shot of here's all a whole bunch of buzzwords?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's always been the how it's gone for a long time is the whole we'll do something and we'll go all over the place. Particularly when you start getting interviews, like that was all over the place. Um, so yeah, so then what do we? So what's our goal going to be then? What's like if we want to do that, then what's our why for this season or what's our goal? Um, is it
Let's,
tackling? I mean, like I said, like we could look at like let's talk about some of the buzzwords and let's talk about things that people care about, I guess, right now, for lack of a better term. Or we could be, um,
I like the buzzwords. I'm trying to pull up the what the categories were that we used for the last 4 seasons because I kind of like the how we structured those. Let's see, we had building better business, building better developers with AI, building better developers, building better habits, um, buzzwords to success. Um, what's AI coming up with?
well, I'm not even asking it.
Oh, it looked like you were typing something.
No, I'm just looking like random topic ideas and stuff like that and seeing if that jumps out on me on any of these. Because there is stuff like
Because I liked how we did the building, like doing the building for a couple of seasons, but now maybe we flip it to the developers, like buzzwords, developer buzzwords.
well, or is it something that because we have done that. So do we do something where it really is, maybe we try to do this. We try to bridge the developer entrepreneur gap a little bit and do like taking the buzz out of buzzwords kind of thing. It's like, let's talk about the reality of these things and what this means and how does that work? How do because some people are like, I just had this conversation the other day with the guy. It's like, well, why are people struggling with, to adopt AI? I'm like, because they don't know what the heck to do with it. They're like, it's supposed to be awesome. It's supposed to be all this stuff, but I don't know how it fits into my, what I do and things like that. So I think it could be a good one that's a split and gets a little bit back on the side hustle side and stuff like that, and entrepreneurial side of things um, like AI. Okay, so what do you need to worry about with AI? What are some ways that you can use AI that are going to benefit you? And what are some things to watch out for with AI? What is it? What are the things that you need to have have a heads up with? Like people that are, if you're going out and you're going to do a project in AI, and you're going to go get some people to help you, realize that nobody's really been doing AI more than 6 months. Most people are going to be like, I'm an AI master. They read a Learn AI, learn large language models in 24 hours, and now they're an expert. So how do you get around that? How do you find the people that are actually going to help you out? Um, Things like cloud computing, like, okay, well, where does that matter? How can that help you? Where should you put stuff in the cloud? What should you be worried about? Um, Thinking from a developer point, like tools, like how do you use like AI is everywhere, all these tools. It's in emails, it's in, Microsoft's big, Copilot and, all the lady in the box stuff of, Alexas and Siris and stuff like that. And it's probably all going to like light stuff up now because it's all listening, but it's like those kinds of things. It's like, how do we, sort of, and it is probably a little bit of old curmudgeon thing because the kids of today are like, oh, okay, I'm used to all this stuff. But it's also like looking forward. It's like, what does this mean? What is this going to mean 6 months from now, or a year from now, or 2 or 3 years from now? Um, so maybe it is like taking the sting out of the buzzwords or something along those lines. It's basically like, let's like ground some of this a little bit and talk about what does it really mean? What does it, and it may go to even some very basic stuff of like, um, what is a developer? What is you know, maybe we talk about some of the tech stacks. What does that mean? How important is this tech stack even to what you're doing? Because I'm seeing a lot of AI generated requests for work, and you can tell because it's they give some generic kind of answers and it generates all this stuff that's like, well, you could do this or you could do that. You could, it's like, okay, then don't even mention it. It's like, just say that that's not important. There's things like that that it just becomes obvious. And it ends up, I think, it changes gosh, now I'm getting on a soapbox a little bit. It changes the gatekeepers because now AI has basically become a gatekeeper for some of these things.
Mhm.
So I think there's cases like that. I think like I said, we could do multiple episodes on AI alone. I think quite a few on cloud computing and what does that mean? Like no code, low code, clouds, microservices, distributed systems, some of those kinds of things that are like they don't all blend together, but sort of do. What is the problem with using Firebase as your data store for your application? Things like that is I think we could get into there could be some very general, like low level stuff that we talk about, but I think we could get into some very higher, some higher end stuff of like, this is what you need to watch out for. If you make this decision, understand this is what this is what you're signing on for.
Yeah, I'm running into a bit of that too. Like we were talking the other day, the whole vibe coding thing and that, and I was reading articles as well just this morning about a CEO that's already trying to reduce workforce by using AI for help desk, for chatbots. And now he went out and wrote a vibe coding to flesh out his ideas for features for the application. And it's like, here, I did this. And they're like, well, yeah, that might work, but we have to essentially redo everything you did because yeah, well, you got it working. It's not going to work. Ooh. So I did pop into AI after our discussion just now, trying to come up with some ideas. So here's some themes. Breaking the buzzwords. Beyond buzzwords, real skill for real developers. Buzzwords to blueprint, turning hype into action. The buzzword breakdown. From buzzwords to backlog. Buzzwords that build careers. And deconstructing developer buzzwords.
Hmm.
I kind of like the beyond buzzwords, real skills for real developers. But that doesn't really focus on the buzzwords. But then there's the buzzword breakdown. I kind of like that one.
Well, and it doesn't have to be buzzwords. It's more like, I mean, it's, I think it's I think those are a little focused on buzzwords versus it's like, these are the hot topics. These are the cutting edge,
Gotcha.
working with some of the cutting edge things. And so it is, I know it's sort of a broad kind of topic, but it also gives us 30 something episodes that we can do on it.
How about from buzzwords to business value? I scrolled. It actually gave me a lot more than what I just read off.
I'm wondering how we could do that.
Oh, here's one. The
What?
developer buzzword filter.
It's got a little bit of a cheat to it. How about like we could do like building better buzzwords or something like that? Since we're in this, we've sort of been in this kick. I'm wondering if we do that as a theme. Although that once we do it, like if we do it again, it's sort of like we've almost locked ourselves into it has to have building better. I think.
That's what I was trying to figure out. Is there a way to kind of use developers this time or
Let me
developer?
try this. I'm gonna throw. I will go to AI for this. Let's see. What are some season?
I mean, I'm just mainly using it to just kind of get some combinations of things, just to kind of see what kind of fits and what doesn't fit.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is this is actually where it's useful to do this kind of stuff is to just get throw stuff everything at the wall and see what sticks. So let's see some topics, titles. I guess I'll spell that right, even though it usually does pretty good. The idea of building better and
The buzzword buffet. Yeah, no. Career buzzwords densified. Ooh, the buzzword proof developer.
that's a book. That is a book title right there. That's let's see. Let's see if it gives me anything. Hmm. Nice direction pairing your building better theme with a myth busting or behind the buzzword season. Let's see. Building better beyond the buzzwords, building better with what works, building better by busting myths, building better software in the age of hype. Um, serverless or just someone else's server. That's a good little title episode. I've got some fun ones there. Let's see. Uh,
This would be a good one for a future season. Build like a boss.
yeah, but the boss doesn't know what's going on. That's our whole point. Let's see if it does that. Let's see if I can tell it this. Oh, here we go. Building better buzzwords, building better myths, building better practices, building better realities, building better perspectives, building better decisions, building better conversations, building better foundations, building better trends, building better truths. Hmm. I sort of like the building better foundations. And their little the secondary tagline it has is extracting timeless lessons hidden in the hype.
Ooh,
But I think that's because the other like that to me really has a good because that's really where we're getting back to. It's like, okay, those are the buzz, but let's like taking it and we can think of a better, I think we could think of a better tagline because building better foundations I like is sort of like the short one. And then it's like taking big idea. Maybe it is. Maybe it's how we adjust it. It's taking big ideas down to practical use. Something along those lines. So we're gonna tackle buzzwords, but it's really because that's really what it is. It's tackling buzzwords. Like, how do I actually we're not saying that the buzzwords aren't buzzy, that they're not cool things, that they're not out there. We're saying, okay, well, what do I do with this? It's almost a whole season of, okay, that's cool. It's out there. Now what do I do? And it could even be things like really whiz bang, CSS libraries and stuff like that. It's like, well, how do I take all this stuff and actually do something with it? How do I make this little flashy pinwheel thing do something other than just be a flashy pinwheel?
yeah, kind of like that better because that feels a little more in line with developer, and I mean, I like,
It's where we go anyways.
yeah, true. Well, we go there because that's kind of what we build. I mean, that's what this whole thing is. It's building better developers, building, you know, taking coders to developers and developers to entrepreneurs and that's kind of the whole theme of it. So,
Building better foundations.
yeah, I like that.
All right, let's get my improv on and let's see how this works. First, I need to go to get this.
We'll probably put together some background this time with like a little toolkit or like a slide rule and I don't know
Yeah.
this, but I put a brain on the last season.
I thought, like, yeah, that's like since we've got like bonus material here and people are actually listening in, I got to remember that. It's just like, yeah, bonus, like kudos to you. And for those that don't know, like Michael does all of this stuff now. That's why it's gotten like more of a, it has like better little images and stuff like that that are not just pure stock stuff and things like that. We have like our little, yeah, it's mostly text, but at least we have like season backgrounds in that. So that's all Michael spends that time. And that's why I'm free to go deal with other crap in my life and things like that. So, all right. So let's see how this goes. So building better foundations. We'll kick this sucker off and see where it goes. Three, two, one. Well, hello and welcome back. We are in a new season 26 of Building Better Developers, the Developer podcast. Yes, we've been doing this for a long stinking time, 26 seasons. Especially when you consider there's two seasons alone encompass over 200 episodes when you add those two together. We're doing pretty good, chugging along. I'm not going to spoil it yet. I'm going to like let you guys hang on. What is the topic? We just figured it out literally moments ago. So we're still like just basking in the glow of figuring out what are we going to do for this season. First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Rob Broadhead. I'm one of the founders of Developing or Building Better Developers, also the founder of RB Consulting, which often would be considered like boutique consulting and things like that. But what happens really is we help you cut IT costs. We help you understand IT. We help you wrangle technology. We help you figure out like what do you do with this thing? What do you do with this technology that you've got, the applications that you've got? And a lot of it is understanding your business. How do you take the processes that are in your head, get them down on paper or in a digital form, so then either your people or your systems can actually systematize, automate those, simplify them, integrate it with other systems, or we can even sit down with you and create an entire new solution. And that's what we do. We'll sit down, we start off with our little assessment with you, and then either you can take it a run or we will take it as far as you'd like to go with it. You can check us out at rb-sns.com. We've got a little like Insta assessment tool there that takes about 10 minutes. And then we also have, you can do a very quick assessment product that takes you basically 2 hours of your time, an hour up front and an hour at the end. We spend a little time between that, a few hours, and we build out a roadmap for you, and you're off and running. Good thing, bad thing. Um, this is like the epitome of good thing, bad thing, actually. Bad thing is we had a house that was being rented by a child. We'll go ahead and we'll be that direct. Was being rented by a child, and the said child found a house that was dream home and moved very quickly. So we suddenly were like, oh, we don't have anybody. We have to do something with this house. And that's the bad thing is now we're under scramble mode yet again. The good thing is that we are actually still here. We haven't like moved away. We haven't done anything where it would be much, much harder for us to do so. And actually, we've got somewhere else that we've got a place to stay that's literally like 6, 7 minutes away from this house. So we're able to get some work done and stuff like that. So that's a good thing is that at least it's the bad thing is it happened. The good thing is it happened now instead of 3 or 6 or 9 months from now. The other good thing is I do have a co-host that helps me out with so much stuff. Actually helps me out. 80-20 rule. He does 80% of the work. I do two. And then the rest falls in the cracks. Michael, introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Meloche. I'm one of the co-founders of Building Better Developers, also known as Developer. I'm also the owner and founder of Envision QA, where we help businesses take back the control of their custom software. We build custom software around your needs, not the other way around. So we make the software work for you. Our focus is simple. great service, smart solutions, and a rock solid quality. We build tools that replace frustrating systems, streamline operations, and are fully tested to work right the first time. If you want to learn more, check us out at envisionqa.com. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing. Getting towards the end of a project, it's been a bit of a slog. Not really a slog, just it. We've uncovered a lot of things, and we want to do it right. So it's a little over our original estimates. Bad thing, as we're getting to the end of that, the nerves and the doubts and all that creep in, and it's like, are we going to really make it? Yes, we are. This is just one of those things that happen when you run your own business. You have the wins and you have the stress that comes before the wins. So it's I'm in that little mix right now of the good and the bad stage. Once we get across the finish line, it's going to be, sunflowers and sunshine till the next project.
Until the sunshine goes rain and the storm goes away and the rain and storms come and the flowers die and all that kind of fun stuff. Happy times, happy thoughts. There you go. Well, this season, actually, we're in a pretty good mood because we figured out what we're going to talk about. We're going to do building better foundations. We've done developers and businesses and things like that. We've done it with AI. And we actually did use AI a little bit in this, but we're actually going to pick on AI, I think, part of this season. We are going to really go back to it's taking the things that are these big things, buzzwords and these big concepts that people struggle with. Like, how do you actually implement it? Some of these things that we know we need to do, but like, how do we actually make that part of our habits? We've talked about it a lot. We've talked about it with some of the challenges. We've talked about it in the building better developer seasons. The developer book itself talks about like habits and all these little things you can do. But I want to modernize this a little bit, and let's get some of the hot topics of the day and some of the things that are most likely going to be in your mind because they're the things that you're struggling with. We're going to have some, at least one. I think we are going to have some interviews this time around because we're going to sprinkle some of that in. I think that'll work great to us to get just some hot topics, but also some things maybe a little bit different that we haven't thought about, and then do that to like just it really comes back to like that foundation as a developer. Like, what are the things that you need to keep in mind while you're tackling all the stuff that's changing, all of the technology that's out there? Um, this is going to be one of the seasons I think that is it. Yes, it will. From episode to episode, we may shift a little bit, and but we're going to also going to try to keep a couple series in cases. For like example, AI will probably have several that we'll be talking about that. Cloud computing will probably have several that talk about that. When we talk about the DevOps, we'll probably have some stuff on that. There'll be a couple of not a couple of seasons, a couple of episodes on that, and we'll just sort of see where these take us because some of these there is a it's like unwrapping, it's an onion kind of thing. As you sort of peel off a layer and like, oh, now there's another layer and another layer and another layer. I think I'll stop there and get sort of your thoughts on that because we've just come up with this. So we'll see what, hopefully the two of us can sort of come to consensus of where we're planning on going before we dive too much into the first topic.
Well, yeah, and kind of where this topic initially came from was we were kind of talking about like current news and things like that. What is the buzz in our industry right now? Like AI, cloud computing, vibe coding, no code, things of that nature. And we felt that we wanted to do a season to where we kind of break those down. Basically, what is the why behind these buzzwords? Why do you want to do them? Why are they important? And that is where I think in each episode we'll pick kind of the topic of the day and peel that back, like Rob mentioned, peel back the onion and get into the why. Why is this important to us as developers? Why is it important? Also, not just to us, but why is it important to our customers, to business, and the industry? Why do we need to use this? What is the importance of this? AI, big buzzword constantly thrown around. Cloud computing's been around long enough now that most people have heard it. Most people understand it. However, I still run into people that ask me, what is the cloud? Some people out there just really don't know what the cloud is. It's a buzzword. And for a lot of people not in tech, they don't care what the cloud is. They just know it's something out there. There's software's out there, codes out there, whatever. So I think as we go through the journey of this season, we'll help flush that out. We'll help kind of break those barriers down and help our listeners understand where to go. What buzzwords, quote unquote buzzwords, are what foundational skills are the skills that they need to really be focusing on for themselves and for their growth. Because sometimes you may run across a system that is 30 years old that you have to still have the skills to understand how it worked to bring it to a modern uh, to basically bring it up to speed, to bring it up to scale to today's standards. And if you don't understand the why of why that system was built, what's it's for, translating that to something current is going to be a problem because you're not going to fully understand the why and you may pick the wrong technologies. So to me, I think that's where I think this will be beneficial to a lot of our listeners around, you know, how can I take these buzzwords? Where is the industry going? How can I grow? And I think that's what we'll kind of get to as we pull these topics down.
Yeah, and I think those are some of the things we want to focus on is especially with new technologies, it seems like it's very easy, or at least it's easier to do a startup application or some sort of jump start application where you start from scratch and you build this thing out and you're like, oh, okay, this is how it works. Very different when you take that with an existing system and now you try to map that existing system into some new technology. It's very different, just like the simplest things of like a desktop application to a web application. And we're going to talk about some of these things like what are the considerations? We want to take it more than just like, well, here's how you can use it, but like here's some of the gotchas. Here's some of the things that you need to do essentially architecturally to make sure that you are going to be able to actually use that thing correctly. Some of it does go back to like using the right tool in the right place. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that's a really spiffy drill, but that drill is going to be really annoying if you're going to try to use that to cut down a tree or something like that. So it does go back to choosing the right tool for the right problem, but also understanding what you're getting into. And I think with a lot of these, I think we're going to get into, we go a little deeper than, oh, we'll go just check this out. We're going to talk a little bit. There's going to be some war stories. It's to be like, okay, well, this is what we're finding, especially with some of these things that now that this has been going on for a while, we're starting to see where there's some of these issues. And we've brought some of these up, but we want to, swing back around and make sure that we're clear on some of these things so that you don't get bit, so you don't suddenly have a, $10,000 cloud bill from last month, or, some of these kinds of things that you need to be very intentional and you need to actually learn a little, research a little before you dive into whatever the coolest, newest thing is. And think about it a little bit too, because I think that's why we came up with the foundations, is it's really more about like, when you go back to the foundational stuff of what are we trying to do? What do we need to be thinking about? What do we need to worry about? What do we need to add that is the value add to our application, regardless what that application is, whether it's a big, huge server system that's used by billions of people or a little like phone app that's only used by one person at a time. There's still certain considerations that are, for lack of a better term, they're best practices. I don't know if that's really. I've seen arguments against best practices even being used as a word, that it's too buzzy, too much of a buzzword, but it's doing the right thing. It's doing the smart thing. It's keeping the why in front of you, no matter what the technology is. And I think that's really what makes you a developer. That's one of the things that would be, to me, that's like a marker of a good developer and not just a coder, is that you have those fundamentals and that regardless of what environment you're thrown into, you still have those things essentially ingrained in your system. You're thinking in a certain way, you're thinking in a certain manner. And I think that's why, as Michael mentioned, vibe coding. I think that's one of the things that people miss, is that AI is not going to think that way. It's stealing thoughts from other people. It doesn't know how to put the two pieces together. And if you don't know how to stitch it together, you can have all the fabric in the world you want. You're not going to make a pretty dress, something like that. It's probably not the best analogy, but hey, we'll go with that. Final closing thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so as you're going through that, I thought of one that I think we'll probably touch on with this season as well is a lot of these tools are out there, a lot of these buzzwords. If you're not already using them, it's sometimes hard to know which skill set or which tool to jump into to start learning something. Yes, some of these new technologies may be very quick to get code out there, but you're going to find very quickly that there's a limitation to how quickly some of these applications you build in these can scale. They may not be able to be enterprise level applications. Yes, you can get a product out there, but then you're going to quickly find that crap, I have to now go to a more mature uh, or more mature language or infrastructure or something else to get me to that business scale because you may have adopted something that's not there yet. So that's one of the biggest problems with just grabbing buzzwords and grabbing new tech and just jumping out there and running with it is there will be limitations to what you can do, and understanding those upfront can help you. One, you can get a product to market fast, yes. However, if that goes gangbusters and you can't scale with that, your product's dead. So you need to be able to kind of follow that journey as you're going through the process. Okay, yes, I have a working model. Now, how quickly can I scale this? If I can't scale it, okay, how quickly can I pivot to something else to get the same product out that can scale?
And you just stole some of the thunder from an upcoming episode, I'm sure, but that's okay. Stay tuned. We will go further into that one. But before we do that, we're going to do our famous, love to do it every time. Actually, I don't love to do it. I hate that this is like one of those repetitive things, but I do like the results. Is it shoot us an email at info@developaneur.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know good or bad. Love to hear your feedback on the prior 25 seasons or this season. What do you think? What are some buzzwords or some areas that you would like us to tackle? Definitely have a few of those out there, and I think those are going to be those will topics will filter into this season, but we're always looking for more because we're here to serve you to help you become better developers. Granted, we become better developers along the way because we're researching this and doing a lot of the same things. We're taking the same challenges, we're growing together, but we want to make sure that you guys are a part of this as well. We love having the community side of it. You can also leave us feedback on YouTube on the Developreneur channel. On X, we're at Developreneur. We have the Developreneur Facebook page and developreneur.com. You can go and there's tons and tons and tons of content out there. You can check that out. That is, heads up, is that is going to be in a transition mode over the next few months as we're making some changes and updating some things and cleaning stuff up and things like that. Some of those may be some examples we even use during these upcoming episodes. So, that being said, just want to say welcome to season 26. We appreciate so much that you've been here for the prior 25 seasons and that you're sticking around for yet another one. And we're going to try to do our best to make it every minute that you're here worth the investment of your time. Go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. I think we spent enough time in the preamble, so we're just going to count that as the bonus material this time around. And we're going to dive right into moving on to episode 2 of this. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Come back next time around, and you'll be able to figure out, just as we will, what is the topic that we're going to have for episode 2. Have a good one.